This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for February 6th, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 41, and episode 480 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I am your host, Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening. I'm very, very excited for you guys to hear this edition of the Power Play Post Show and even really the next one as well. On Sunday, we will have D-Man, first time here on the show. Really excited that we were able to get him. Dan Stone will be on the show to talk to us about his career, playing with Dakota Bond, playing with the Black Bears, winning a championship, all the things that you would expect and want to hear about. And we'll talk to him about how this season has gone already for the Binghamton Black Bears. So a lot to talk about with Dan Stone, but this edition of the Power Play Post Show, we brought back one of our favorites, one of the guys that is just a favorite just amongst everybody in the organization. He's no longer playing, but he decided that it was okay. Let's come back onto the Power Play Post Show. It's a couple times now, a few times for Colan Fitzgerald. So Fitzy will be back on the show. You'll get to hear that interview in just a little bit. So exciting stuff for the next, this podcast and next podcast. And I think we might even get a few words with Brant Sherwood after the game on Saturday. Kind of talk to him about the stretch run with only 20 games left now on the regular season for the Binghamton Black Bears. After Saturday's game, there will be 19 games left. Still some with the HC Venom, still some with the Motor City Rockers, and the obviously the most of the teams in the Empire Division, the Wolves and the Dashers. But there's also a couple games that I think people are starting to circle onto the calendars again for the Black Bears, which is, of course, the Carolina Thunderbirds, one game here in Binghamton, and, of course, two games down in Athens against the Rock Lobsters. I think these are games that the Black Bears need to start preparing for and getting ready for. I think on a day-to-day basis, they need to continue to work on fundamentals and things of that nature, which, according to Austin Thompson, he did a great interview with Brooks Hill on the Tully's Good Time Show, which, again, folks, I'm going to play some audio from that here for you in just a few seconds here because I want to talk about it. But at the same time, I want to make sure that you guys are going out and watching the Tully's Good Time Show. Now, I don't always get to watch it on Tuesday when it happens. It's usually a day after for me. I'm just busy on Tuesdays at about that time, so I don't get to watch it live when it happens. But it's a great vehicle that Brooks and Tully's and the Black Bears and Coach Sherwood, because it's the coach's show basically, and with Brooks. It's like Brooks' show, but Coach is on it, and it's like the coach's show. And then they always have a player. Well, this week was Austin Thompson. If you didn't watch it, I kind of picked out a few of the highlights that I think are great parts to this, and I'm going to play those for you right now. So this is Brooks Hill and Austin Thompson on the Tully's Good Time Show. We'll talk about what was said after you hear this.
Transitioning back now to the Black Bears season. Obviously, you guys were able to take care of business this past weekend against the Columbus River Dragons. We talked about how focused and locked in Coach Sherwood was, but I want to kind of hear it from a player's perspective what this past week of practice really looked like leading up to the games on Friday and Saturday.
He wasn't as lenient as normal, but that's to be expected, especially with the big bad River Dragons from the south that thought they were top dogs in the league. And obviously we want to win a championship, and that's a good measuring stick to do it. So we just been kind of going hard at practice and making sure we're stopping and doing all the right things and the small things to make sure that come weekend time against these guys, we're ready to go. And we were.
Well, we scored no shortage of goals this year, 22, and this point well above last year's place. I even just completely forgot what you finished with last year. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head.
27 and 29.
Okay, 27 and 29.
Because the
so you're
first
on a
year
really
was
good pace.
29 and 27. That's why.
Okay, so same amount of points. So they're on pace to surpass that. So we're going to wish you luck on the rest of the way here through the Black Bears. 20 games left to go in the regular season. Technically, it's not official yet, but I think everyone can read the writing on the wall if they choose to open their eyes, that the Black Bears are going to go back to the playoffs, and then, they got a little bit more work to do before they can repeat as division champions to get the 1 seed, at least on one side of the bracket.
Of course.
What is it now with you guys, not necessarily saying that you don't have a whole lot to play for in the next couple of games, because obviously you play for the trophy at the end of the season, not the regular season, but you want to make sure that you're playing the right way going into the playoffs, and 20 games left to go here in this final push.
Well, we still have 2 more tests coming up. I think in March we play the Thunderbirds, and obviously in April we go down to Athens, which is their 1 and 2 teams in the South. So, I mean, we got those to look forward to right before playoffs, and it's another test to gauge where we are in the league. And just because we laid a whooping on Columbus doesn't mean that we're going to do it to Athens and Carolina. So it's something we strive to do, and from now until that time is prepare for them.
Besides looking at the Continental Division and the 3 games that you mentioned off the top of your head, what are some other things that you guys are looking to build on in continuing to strive for through 56 games?
Again, just the good habits, the small things that it takes to win championships. And I think this past week of practice kind of showed the guys what it takes to kind of win. Because before we might have been a little bit more loose with, you lose a puck, you just pick up a new one. Or guys just turning away instead of stopping at the net. And I think with this past couple of practices, we cut that out and hopefully carry that over for this week and the weeks to come. And our side isn't easy. Obviously, going to Watertown, going to Danbury, those teams are great at their rink. Everyone loves to beat us. So it's just every game's a playoff game for us.
And, of course, that was Tully's Good Time Show with Brooks Hill and, of course, with Austin Thompson. And I think there were some really good points that were being made there. Let's start with that third point there, right? What to build on. Brooks added, what can you build on going into the last, really 20 games of the season? And Tomer talked about good habits, having good habits. And that the practice that they were having before the Columbus River Dragons games was learning and showing some of the younger guys what it's going to take to win a championship, which means, in a sense, when you're in the beginning of February and going into March still, right, you have to really work hard, and you have to, take care of all the small things, get the small details taken care of. And one of the things that I liked that he talked about was making sure that you keep the good habits, because that is something that Brant Sherwood talked about last year as well when they were in this time period, making sure they were keeping up with the good habits and taking away a little bit of the looseness in the practices. He wants them to go hard in practice to make sure that they're ready for these games coming up. So I think that's a really important thing. Now let's go back to the first point where through going hard at practice is something that he mentioned again. Talking about playing against Columbus, they were thinking that they were the top dogs, and the Black Bears put them down. I mean, if you think about it, they really did put them down, scoring 16 goals to their 5 goals, right? And, I honestly think that what it really comes down to, and the second point was read the writing on the walls that, they're going to make the playoffs. That's easy, right? At this point, they're going to make the playoffs. And what do you play for? And he talks about 2 more tests between Carolina and then, of course, the 2 Athens games. Test and gauge where they are against those two teams as well. And that's going to help get them ready for the playoffs. Listen, I thought it was a great thing. Go back and listen to Tomer talk with Brooks during the Tully's Good Time show. Definitely worth your while. I thought Tomer made some really great points, and I wanted to play those for you. And so, it's pretty simple. As long as they continue to do these small little things, and sometimes it's the small things, and sometimes it's the simplest things that you can overlook when you're going to start getting ready for the playoffs, and you start looking over those small little details, winning the battles in the corners, transitioning from zone to zone the proper way, not letting guys box you out. Things of that nature is very important. And there's another part that I didn't play for you from the Tomer thing, and Austin Thompson or Brooks Hill talked to him about taking a beating in front of the net. Tomer is one of the best guys to get in front of the net, play hard, and but he gets banged on that back all the time. I was told that he spends a lot of time in the training room just because he gets beat up a lot while he's standing there, but he gets those goals. He gets those chances, and Tomer has really turned into, I think, one of the best two-way forwards on this team, 100%. But there's a lot of two-way forwards that are really good on this team. From Tyson Kirkby to Kyle Steffen to, Dakota Bond almost plays like a two-way forward, doesn't he? Like, he's a great defenseman. He moves the puck, and he gets points, and he's dangerous on the penalty kill. And that's almost exactly what you want out of a two-way forward, somebody who can play both defense and play in the offensive zone without any issues. So I really wanted to start off the show with that. We'll get to Colin Fitzgerald in just a few minutes. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show. Check out BinghamtonHockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Matter of fact, Gary Ryan just asked me where the shorthanded goal list was for the Black Bears, and it's pretty simple. You just go to the Black Bears page at BinghamtonHockey.net, and you either look under there's a little tray where you can pull things down, and either under more if you're on a desktop, or under Black Bears Home, you can look under there and go to SH Goals, and that'll give you your shorthanded goals list for the franchise, which is pretty cool. So check out BinghamtonHockey.net whenever you get a chance. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, as I've already said, former Black Bears defenseman Colan Fitzgerald. Now, let's talk a little bit about the roster right now for the Binghamton Black Bears. The Black Bears have two players on the 15-day IR. That's Cade Henry, who was placed on the IR on 1/28 and missed both games against the Columbus River Dragons. Now, on February 2nd, 2025, the Black Bears put defenseman Dale Dion on the 15-day IR as well. He also did not play against the River Dragons. So let's just update who is on the roster, right? Well, right now we have 11 forwards. Now we're going to not count the two guys we just talked about right now. So we have 11 forwards on the team. Austin Thompson, Tyson Kirkby, and Don Oliveri pretty much make that top line. Gavin Yates, Kyle Steffen, and CJ Stubbs right now have kind of really solidified the second line. And one of the things I talked with Coach Sherwood about, he really likes pairs on lines. And what do you mean by that? Well, Austin Thompson and Tyson Kirkby have been pretty much played together, except for when Kirkby has been up on the up in the ECHL, and at one point in the beginning of the season when Thompson started off as the 10th forward for one game, which basically backfired, or probably didn't backfire in Brandt's face, because he went into, I think it was in Newburgh, New York, against the HC Venom, and had 5 points or something, 3 goals and 2 assists, something like that. And then coach was like, okay, you're ready to come back up again. So it was kind of a funny thing. Cam Clark, Josh Fletcher, and Scott Ramakers. Now, Ramakers is the guy that when Don Oliveri's not playing, sometimes he gets that kick up to the first line, up to the top line, because he provides something a little bit different than Don Oliveri, right? Provides a different style of play, but I think still gels well with Austin Thompson and Tyson Kirkby. And Ramaker's, one of the things that I really liked is that his face-off abilities, his face-off skills have gotten better. Probably something that they work on in the practices as well. Josh Fletcher is just a natural center, plays very well there. And like I said, Cam Clark, my God, the guy has got more energy. Him and Zach Sirota have so much freaking energy. I wish I had half of that energy that they have, even off the ice. So Zach Sirota and Chris Mott right now are the 10th forwards, so to speak. Right? It's 10th and 11th player. Defenseman, Dakota Bond, Dan Stone, Jesse Anderson, Dan Weber. I slotted in Emerson Emery in as defense, so it'll be Emerson Emery and Nicholas Poirier. And then, of course, two goalies, Connor McAnanama and Nolan Egbert. And that makes up 19 players right there. So depending on when these two guys come back from IR, decisions might have to be made. Now, the other reason why to bring this up is because in a few weeks, you're going to start seeing other guys sign with the team. College and junior players can join, and I believe the league is still allowing 5 college or junior players to be able to join teams. So the Black Bears will get some reinforcements. Maybe they can get some of those guys in, get some games, and maybe some of those guys might be helpful in the playoffs as well. Okay, so the Black Bears play just one game this weekend on Saturday versus the HC Venom here in Binghamton on Mascot Mania night. This will be the 6th meeting between the Black Bears and the HC Venom this year. The Black Bears are currently 5-0 against the Venom, and the Venom only came close really just once in one game. And let's go through these games real quick. So on October 18th, this is the game down in Newburgh. Okay, and Austin Thompson had the hat trick. I believe he had 2 more points, too. I'm pretty sure he had a 5-point night in that game. That was a 9-6 win for the Black Bears down in Newburgh. Now, on October 19th, this was a 5-0 shutout for Connor McAnanama. That was played in Binghamton. So that was the second win of the season over the HC Venom. And then back down in Newburgh again, this was the shutout. This was the shootout game. This was a 5-4 game on November 1st. Cam Clark got the only shootout goal. And so that was a 5-4 win for the Black Bears, their 3rd win against the HC Venom. And then in Binghamton on December 31st, this was a sellout, if I remember correctly, 48-93. Pretty good ruckus crowd. Dakota Bond and Tyson Kirkby had 2 shorties in this game, 2 shorties in one game, and that was a 7-2 win for the Black Bears over the HC Venom. Then they played the first game ever in McCann Arena in Poughkeepsie for the HC Venom in there. That was a 6-2 win for the Black Bears on January 19th. That was the end of the first 3 games in 3 nights for the Black Bears. And Dan Stone, who we're going to have on the show on Sunday, he had a goal and 3 assists in that game for 4 points. So those are the highlights realistically for the 5 games against the HC Venom so far, 5-0. This year, the teams have played 2 games in Newburgh, New York, 2 games in Binghamton, New York, and 1 game in Poughkeepsie. This will be the third game in Binghamton this season between the 2 teams. Now, this game was supposed to be an away game. So, folks, if you're a season ticket holder and you have not gotten access to your ticket, please get in touch with the Binghamton Black Bears office. This is going to be Mascot Mania night. There are a few groups coming in, but we want to make sure the attendance gets up there because right now our attendance is over 4,100 on average, and we don't want a game like this where people are confused thinking it's an away game when it's not. It's a home game. It was switched over because they could not use the McMahon Arena in Poughkeepsie for the Saturday night game. So this will be played in Binghamton. So if you're a Binghamton fan and you want to come to this game, either get your tickets if you don't have season tickets or contact the Black Bears to get your season ticket for this, okay? So I want to make that perfectly clear. Just make sure you guys get out there and get to the game this weekend. I know there might be a little bit of bad weather, but I'm pretty sure the game will still be on. This is also the beginning of 3 games in a row versus the Venom. 1 game this weekend, of course, in Binghamton, and then 2 more games in Binghamton as well next weekend. So it's going to be, and this is a big part of a big run of home games for the Black Bears. They'll be in the middle of it by next weekend. A roster note from the Venom: Dustin Jesso will play on Saturday for the Venom, as he'll be serving his second game of a 2-game suspension on Friday night against the Watertown Wolves. So just so you guys know, a couple of the numbers here might change before Saturday, because the Venom do play on Friday night against the Watertown Wolves. Jesso was suspended 2 games for a high hit to the head of Danbury Hat-Trick's co-head coach of the team, Johnny Ruiz. A lot of people thought maybe he should get more games than what he did. Again, I've said it multiple times, Dustin Jesso is one of the most talented players in this league. He has got mad freaking skills, and I truly mean that. But unfortunately, the mental fortitude for him is really, really low. And when he let his emotions get too wild, and he makes mistakes on the ice, and sometimes when he's just off the ice in the penalty box too. I just want to make sure everyone knows that I think very highly of his skill level, just not of his, unfortunately, letting his emotions run wild. And it's ruining his career, and he could do so much better. I actually think he could play at a higher level of hockey, but unfortunately he does not have the mental fortitude to do so. It's too bad, too. The Venom do play on Friday night in Poughkeepsie against the Watertown Wolves, as I mentioned, which will be the second night of a 2-game suspension, meaning he can return against the Black Bears. So, Venom, important thing, they will be playing the night before against the Wolves. They really need a win. So I think they're going to come strong against the Wolves, and they're going to come strong against the Black Bears. The Black Bears need to be ready. This isn't a pushover game, and neither are the games next weekend. The Black Bears are on a 10-game winning streak, winning both games at home last week and against the Columbus River Dragons. The Venom are on a 7-game losing streak, and all 3 games last weekend to the Danbury Hat-Tricks, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They lost all 3. There was a couple close ones there. So, again, the Venom really need to get a win. They really do. They need to start turning things around. And I know they're working hard. I know MJ Merkel is really trying to keep this team together as much as he can. He's trying to get some wins, but very difficult. The Venom are led by Dustin Jesso, 20 goals, 23 assists, 43 points. He's got 6 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. They also have Lester Brown, 7 goals, 17 assists with 24 points. He has 2 power play goals, and John Moriarty, he's 5-13-1 with a 4.68 goals against average and an 8.87 save percentage. Now, if you look at the Black Bears players, right? Dustin Jesso's got the most points with 43. Now, I think they would be higher if they still had Ementis Norica, because he was phenomenal, and the 2 of them together on the ice, Jesso and Norica, was pretty freaking awesome. But the Black Bears are led by Tyson Kirkby, 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points. Austin Thompson, also more than Jesso, has 22 goals, 22 assists for 44 points. Now, Dakota Bond has the same amount of points as Dustin Jesso. He has 9 goals, 34 assists for 43 points. C-Mac is 19-2-1, 2.09 goals against average, and 924 save percentage. Eggy is 12-2-0 with a 3.29 goals against average and an 889 save percentage this year. I think either goaltender could go against the HC Venom and would be absolutely fine. And the Black Bears are 31-4-1 with 89 points, first in the Empire Division. The Venom are 7-19-2 with 23 points and 6th in the Empire Division. All 7 of their games have been won in the regulation, and they've got 2 overtime losses. So it's a pretty easy. You can do the math there. 7 times 3 is 21, and they have 23 points because of the 2 overtime losses. Nothing difficult to figure out their standings. They are 6th in the Empire Division. Going into Friday's contest, the special teams comparison looks like this. Okay, Binghamton's power play has dropped a little bit. They're ranked 4th with 46 power play goals. Now, the 46 power play goals is the most in the league. So they lead in that category, but they're ranked 4th because their conversion rate is only 24%. They also get a lot more opportunities than most people. So you have to understand that with the Black Bears, the reason why they get more opportunities isn't anything more than they draw a lot of penalties. Okay, so without a doubt, the Black Bears are drawing penalties. They're faster, they're quicker, and they just draw those penalties easily from their opponents. Now, the HC Venom are ranked 7th, have 33 power play goals, and have a 22% conversion rate. Now, they would be higher, and they were higher back when they had Norica on the team, and they were able to fire off. And they had a pretty good power play on the Venom for a while, and now that's kind of died down just a little bit. On the penalty kill, Binghamton is ranked 3rd. That's dropped just a little bit as well. 24 goals against on the power play, an 86% conversion or kill rate, which is still pretty good. So you can't complain with that. HC Venom ranked 13th, 52 power play goals allowed, only a 65% rate. And I got to be honest with you, if there's ever a time for the Black Bears power play to kick it back up into gear, it'll probably be these next 3 games against the HC Venom. When you're only stopping 65%, I mean, essentially, if you give the Black Bears 10 power play opportunities or 9, you're talking about 3, more than likely 3 power play goals are going to go through for the Black Bears. So we have a great guest coming up here right now here on the Power Play Post Show. He is our friend to Binghamton, friend to obviously the Black Bears organization, and here on the Power Play Post Show, he is Colan Fitzgerald. So we're really excited to have him on. So we'll get to that right now, and then we'll be back after that right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I am very happy to have this gentleman back on and be able to hear his voice again. He comes to us from just outside of Chicago, Illinois. I'll have him tell you exactly where he lives with the address and zip code. No, I'm just kidding. He's not going to give you that. But he does come to us outside of Chicago, and he is our good friend of the show and former Binghamton Black Bear defenseman, Colan Fitzgerald. Fitzy, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you. You are just outside of Chicago, correct?
That's correct, yeah. I just like a suburb 15 minutes west of the city. But thanks for having me on, Bob. I appreciate it. Always excited to talk with you. My heart started going when I saw the text from you, so I'm happy to be back on the show.
That's awesome. So, Colan, or Fitzy, since we saw each other at the banner raising ceremony, I know I took a picture of you and Brooksy while you were in the booth with Brooksy, I think right around the second intermission or second period. Talk to us a little bit about what you have been up to since the last time we saw you.
Just been trying to figure out life. It's been kind of harder than I thought it would be. Kind of trying to just find like my purpose in a way again, now that hockey's kind of not my main thing. I have my finance degree from Indiana University, and
yep,
that's always kind of like a fallback for me. I'm just not one of those, kind of always known I'm not one of those guys that can just sit at a desk from 9 to 5. Nothing against the people that can do it. I just don't feel like that's me. And so yeah, I'm trying to figure out something I can do outside of something like that can make me feel like I have a purpose again, and then obviously make some money at the same time. But I've been playing men's league, still getting on the ice still with my oldest brother, so that's been a lot of fun. In the past I'd be obviously playing in season, so I wouldn't be able to come home and play with him, so it's nice to be able to play with him again. And Yeah, honestly, not much going on. I've been started making TikToks again recently, so I'm getting that going again. But yeah, not much going on. Just trying to every day, trying to find get a little bit closer to find what I really want to do.
Well, Fitzy, you say you're still playing and you're playing in some men's league. Talk about the compete level that it's like inside the Chicago area for men's league. I'm guessing this is not your typical men's league, probably even maybe a step up level wise.
Yeah, there's some good guys. A lot of Fed, XSP, everything, Coast, even some NHL former draft picks. There's some good competition. I gotta tell you though, I'll run into people that I don't know what their deal is. I think it's just a men's league thing in general, and maybe it's like a reflection of society. But there's always seems to be someone coming after me or my brother every game. It's a non-checking league, and they always need to start something with us. So it gets it gets kind of annoying sometimes, but it also gets that little. Sometimes you get the little itch where you wanna feel like you're back at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, so that it gets you going a little bit when they come at you because you know that you're playing good. But yeah, there's definitely good competition.
Well, do you think it's because they know that you were a Fed player and played in the SP, and also that I think your middle brother plays professional baseball? I mean, do they come at you guys because of that?
I think it's definitely possible. Funny you say that. I've tried to strip down everything. I don't have any Binghamton stickers on my helmet. I switch my gloves. I try to hide, in plain sight and make it look like I'm just another average Joe. So I do try to hide that so people don't know that about me because, yeah, that's a very good point.
It's interesting, though, because, For me, I know you're very proud of the championship. I know you're very proud of your relationship with Binghamton and the fans and the team and Jersey and everything like that. But it's amazing that in this day and age that you would have to almost kind of say, hey, I wasn't a part of something because it just makes your life a little bit better. It's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely. I know it happens to some college guys, too, that'll wear their college, helmets or whatever out there for when they come home for the holidays and they sub in these men's league games, and it's just grown men going after these people that they used to be able to play good. Maybe they can't play as good as they used to, and you skate around them, they get upset. So little stuff like that. But I wear the cage. I don't mess around with the half shield at these men's leagues. I think I'd probably have more injuries than I had when I was playing professionally, honestly, if I didn't wear the cage.
Now, Binghamton has had 13 shorthanded goals this year. It's one of the things that I was always impressed with your abilities and your speed on the penalty kill. Have you had any shorthanded goals yourself this year in the men's league?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. That's me and my brother. I think my brother's my oldest brother, Brendan. He played ACHA hockey at University of Michigan, and he's actually probably a better hockey player than I am. He's definitely faster than me. So we'll get out there together and we'll play D together. And yeah, once we go on the penalty kill, it's the other team kind of lightens up a little because they think they're just going to have it easy, and then we'll turn it on and make something happen. So yeah, definitely a couple shorties.
Now, before they even got halfway, the Black Bears had 11 shorthanded goals. They now have 13 shorthanded goals with 20 games left. That's the most, in franchise history in one season. Are you surprised to hear that? I
mean, it's definitely. I think it's hard to score a shorthanded goal, so I think it's surprising in that aspect. But at the same time, not very surprising, just because the kind of team that Jersey wanted to build around speed, and that part doesn't surprise me. When you have guys out there that are capable, I know they're capable of doing stuff like that, but obviously it's like I said, it's really hard to score a shorty. So I think all in all, it's definitely surprising. Anytime you need a goal, just go 5-on-3 and get the puck to Bonner. He'll put one in.
Yes, he's done that. Isn't it crazy that he's done it twice now? 5-on-3 shorthanded goal. He did it last year once, and then this year once. To me, that's just surprising. But talk about Dakota Bond's skill level as a outsider now who played with him at one point, and so you've seen what he does on the ice. To now an outsider, but you've kind of like paid attention to the last 3 or 4 months of them playing hockey. What is it about Dakota Bond that is so good? Because he is an ACHA guy, and you know those guys really well.
Yeah, no, I love Bonner. I sat next to him in the locker room when I came back from Huntsville last year, and we bonded really quickly. He's kind of got a little bit of everything. Obviously, he's fast. He's got a hell of a shot, but I think his biggest aspect is just kind of the hockey IQ and being able to read plays and things happen. He's able to see stuff develop that either guys on our team probably don't even see, but definitely the other team's not seeing right away. So Bonner's he got the top D-man of the league last year for a reason. He's a hell of a player. I got nothing but great things to say about him, and then on top of that, just an unreal teammate off the ice. So he's definitely the whole package. We used to joke around. Jersey would say that me and him were sitting next to each other in the locker room, and we're the sandbaggers because he thought we should be playing up in a higher league or something. We're playing here in the Fed, and that's a whole other topic we can get into. It's see the leagues, but yeah,
no, absolutely. Well, I've started to say. And I think this is, maybe just because I see a lot of Binghamton Black Bears hockey, right? I watch every single game I have for the past 3 years. And what I've seen is that a team and an organization, a system that Jersey's put into place, the players he's put into place, and the league itself has just grown and gotten better overall. From, Carolina and Athens, what they've done there, Columbus, what they've done. Even when you look at the system that Port Huron puts into place, which is totally defensive-minded, they're not going to outscore you, but they're not going to let you score a lot either, and they're going to put sticks on pucks, things of that nature, very well. It almost feels like to me that the SP and the Fed are getting closer and closer and closer when it comes to the skill level, and that only players at this point are starting to, some of the players are still thinking that, it's a step up to go to the SP, and maybe it is for a tiny little bit of cash, but the skill level is getting so close to each other.
I completely agree. I think that's probably been the number one question I've gotten from people now that I've stopped playing professionally is how I see the gap between the two leagues. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't think the skill level is different at all. Just the systems that are in place is, like you were talking about, is what changes. The SP is more of a defensive-minded, systematic game, whereas most of the teams in the Fed are a run-and-gun type of team. And that's where Jersey sees a lot of success with Binghamton, is he has, some systems in place where these other teams, they are just going run and gun, and that's where he's able to exploit, some of those opportunities there. But I think the biggest thing that needs to change is the SP teams are still getting the call-ups to the coast. I know that there's been some call-ups this year, here and there from Fed guys to the coast, obviously a few on Binghamton. But that's, I think, the biggest thing that's going to need to change at some point to be able to fully say, okay, the Fed is now, overtaken or better or whatever you want to say, that over the SP.
It's a perception thing, and it's a perception that somewhere in the ECHL and the SPHL said, hey, listen, the Fed 15 years ago, they can't touch us, yet today they're starting to touch them, and it's a perception thing, and I think it has to start. Listen, I personally think that with the amount of players that went from Binghamton up to, or the amount of call-ups that they've had from Binghamton, which is Tyson and obviously Donald Oliveri, going up to the ECHL a couple different times. Stubbs as well. I think what that does is says in the locker room, we don't necessarily need to go to the SP. We might have a chance to go to the ECHL, and that can help change the perceptions.
Right. Yeah, I think that needs to happen, kind of start happening all over the league. And like you see with Athens, what they're building there is cool. They kept trying to sell me on that because they They did. I told Jersey not to protect me in the off season. I originally had me protected, and I told him, use the spot on someone else, and he protected Weebs, so he was safe. And I offered myself up as a sacrificial lamb because I knew I was going to be done. But that was one thing Athens was trying to sell me on was they'd have connections to the coast and call ups, which I think like you said, once a lot more of the teams around the Fed get those kinds of relationships and the trust, then I could see the SB merging at one point. Some of those teams coming to join the Fed.
Yeah. Macon was in trouble, and they've gone through, I think, 5 or 6 owners in the last 7 years, something crazy like that. I mean, they would probably benefit to come down to this business model. There are rumblings that the business model in the Fed might change a little bit to help get the P1 contracts. So that would be a good thing. Let me ask you, because you did bring it up, and I wanted to ask you, why did you stop playing? What was, for you, the main reason why you were okay walking away after winning the championship?
The biggest thing was I just kind of fell out of the love for the grind. The fans see you on the weekends at the games, usually just 2 games, Friday, Saturday, and that's, what we all practice for and everything, and it looks like it's all great, and it is, but you don't see us on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Sunday, whatever it is, in the weight room, on the ice, grinding, staying after Jersey's, had practice, staying out there and working extra on a shot, working extra on this, being away from your family for,
Well, you're a mama's boy too, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
No, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I don't mean that disrespectfully. You and your mom have a very close relationship, and I know you do with your 2 brothers as well.
Definitely, yeah. My dad as well. They've made a really good family unit here, so we're all together, and they've made it hard to leave home. But yeah, it was kind of all those things, and then just the experience I had at Huntsville was, just, we talked about it last time, but it was, not the greatest, and kind of, I'll say, took the love out of the game for me. And that was one of the big reasons I made the move back, aside from them holding me kind of hostage on the IR. Jersey was saying, let's have you play a little bit here, and if it's not working, you can go home, or if you start finding a love for the game again, you can keep going here, and maybe we'll win a championship. And obviously it all worked out.
Yeah.
But
Fitzy, you had to play 15 games to get into the playoffs too. I think Jersey and everybody was biting their nails, going, "Okay, don't get hurt. Yeah. Fitzy, what are you doing there? Why are you doing that?" Stuff like that. We'd be watching games. I'd be up in the press box going, "Fitzy, don't go into the corner. Please don't go into the corner. I don't want someone to hit you again."
Yeah, there were guys on the other teams that knew that I needed to play 15, so they would come after me, and not that they would intentionally hurt me, but that was kind of what it felt like sometimes. But yeah, me and Jersey would talk a lot during or after games of just there were times where I wanted to, maybe fight someone or maybe do something that might potentially get me in trouble with the league, and I couldn't do, I couldn't stand up for a goalie in a situation, stuff like that. It was hard to hold me back from, because I couldn't get suspended, obviously, like you said. But yeah, it was, all in all, it was just, I just didn't have a love for that grind that you really, no one else sees other than, you and the people that are close to you. It was just, it wasn't there for me anymore, which is, it was completely fine. I was happy. I went down the road and played for 3 years, and obviously the championship made it all the much better.
Did it make going away, being that you accepted the fact that you didn't have the grind for it, did it make walking away a little bit easier, or was it still tough to walk away and know that you weren't coming back on that kind of level?
I'll be honest, it was not hard initially, and I'd say within the last few weeks it's probably hit me to where I miss it a lot.
Yeah.
I was completely just, I was spent and got the championship. Okay, great. Let's move on. This was fun. I'll obviously have memories forever and connections talking with you. I'll have that forever, and all the fans, everything was amazing to have. And but yeah, it's kind of hit me the last few weeks where it's you miss it a little bit. But Yeah, surprisingly, it hasn't been as bad. I thought it would be, it would hit me a lot, but kind of like Smitty at the banner raising, he was tearing up. But
oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad for me. I actually, a quick story. I had, you remember Tejo, the goalie, Taylor Joseph?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I called him Tejo.
That's okay.
But, he reached out to me. This was probably, I'd say 2 weekends ago, and he's playing for the Knoxville Ice Bears in the SPHL right now.
Yes,
and they're doing well. And he asked if I'm in Chicago, if I have my gear, and if I've been playing regularly. And I was like, I know where this is going.
Yes.
And I before I respond to him, I look up their schedule, and I see they have 2 games against Quad Cities and 1 game against Peoria. It's a 3-3, and I write back, yeah, I've been skating a little. And he's like, we're short on bodies. We could use you for, we're playing Quad Cities for 2 at their place and then at Peoria. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, I've been playing men's league, but I haven't been, on the ice every day here. So I ended up kind of turning him down, but it was funny that he reached out to me. And I think I'd be public enemy number 1 in Peoria last time I played there. They broke my thumb, and that was the last SP game I ever played. So I don't know if I'd want to suit up for that one.
Did it, not to talk about your mental health, but I'll talk about it anyways because people do talk about this a little bit more. Did that add to your craving of missing it? And did that kind of, I don't want to say he did anything wrong, Taylor Joseph did anything wrong, but did it kind of like pull at you a little bit? And it's a hard thing, right? Because I've talked to a lot of players that have retired. I've talked to, players that are close to retirement. Mark Parrish, the old, he's doing games with the Minnesota Wild now as a broadcaster. He and I talked about it in his one interview with me when he was at BSN and talking about retirement. He'd played 14 years in minor league hockey and a little bit in the NHL, and he was talking about it. And I could hear like some of that pain coming through when he was answering some of my questions about retirement and what he was going to do at the end of the season. And did Taylor Joseph asking you, did that kind of like pull at you a little bit and go, oh, I want to be back and I'm missing it and I'm really missing it, but I really just can't do it?
Yeah, definitely. He, that was one of the things I wrote back to him. I was like, I don't want to come back and then get the itch, and all of a sudden I'm a Knoxville Ice Bear for the rest of the year or something like that.
Right.
But, he wrote back jokingly. He's like, always good to get the itch now and again. And so, yeah, I think definitely it probably stirred up a little bit in me. I settled for some pond hockey instead with my brothers in the backyard. That was what I did instead of going and battling quad in Peoria. But yeah, it's I've been playing since I was 2 years old, and I just turned 26 last September. So it's something that's been a part of me my whole life. And obviously, I still get to play men's league now with my brother. But yeah, that compete level, it'll never really be that same again. And yeah, there's something there, and I think that's kind of what I am hoping to find just in like an everyday job that I can do that'll kind of replace that for me.
Yeah, that's hard to find that one job that kind of can fill that role. But if you can find it, however you find it, listen, you got a degree in finance. You could be running the Tampa Bay Lightning, in 3 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah, I joked with Schurzy about being a video coach for it because he asked me if I wanted to come be an assistant coming into this season. I was like, Schurzy, like if you got me there to be a coach, I'd probably tell you to put the pads on me. I'll play again. So I couldn't get that close, to the team again, and maybe
in a few more years
from now.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well,
but,
remember he played for a while, and he didn't start coaching until he was like 31 years old. So you're still a few years behind him. You need to get that itch of wanting to play out of your system as much as you can. And because listen, I mean, you had instincts. The reason why I brought up the shorthanded goals thing, the Black Bears have 13 and you were pretty good at it. There is an instinct. There's a trust that you have in your teammates before you can go and make the decision to do that. That's something that you can help teach people, whether it's in the video room or whatever. If you're a part of a hockey team or around a hockey team, I have no doubt in my mind that you would be able to be an asset to them, to communicate with them. People, you guys do the Hockey House podcast, and that's because you can communicate. People who can communicate are usually the best teachers, are the best coaches. So definitely don't think that, give it a couple years if you have to, but definitely consider that as a career opportunity because, look at what Scherzi does, right? And we know what a goofball he was when he was a player. And now he's probably one of the most and best up-and-coming head coaches there is in the minor leagues right now, right?
Yeah, no
depending
doubt.
how Binghamton finishes out this season, he's going to get some looks that he's never gotten before, maybe from the ECHL, assistant coach in the AHL, stuff like that, because they're going to take notice.
Right.
So it's something you should think about.
No, I appreciate you saying all those things. I've had a few teams reach out to me. My old college team actually needed a head coach going into this year, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm cut out to be a head coach right now. So I appreciate you saying that.
High school assistant is the perfect place for you to start. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Go in, be an assistant coach at a high school, and then see if that works for you. Because if you could do it local, right? If you could do it local, listen, there's a lot of hockey in Chicago. You can go all the way up to Rockford, where the Ice Hogs are. There's hockey all over that area. How much hockey do you watch these days?
I'd say I'm mostly only watching the Black Bears when I can.
Really?
Yeah.
So no NHL? You're not watching any NHL? Really?
I'll probably get tuned into it around playoff times. My brother and I run a fantasy hockey team together. So I kind of just let him, he's the statistic NHL guru, so I let him kind of run the show. But I think ever since I started playing professionally, I didn't watch much NHL anymore other than playoff time.
Okay. So you have seen some of the Black Bears games then?
Yeah. I try to turn them on whenever I can. I'll send Scherzi some texts after some hard-fought wins and, when I'm fired up and wishing I was in the locker room with them. And I've reached out to some of the guys and whatnot.
Are you surprised or not about how good this team has done? Because right now they're 31-4-1 through 36 games. They only have 20 games left, and they've only lost 4 in regulation. That's pretty damn impressive.
Oh, it's unreal. I think even the 4 in regulation could probably be even less. I bet Scherzi's probably, with the perfectionist he is, he's probably upset about those, but.
And the one overtime loss was a shootout loss to Danbury, where they went 8 rounds before Josh LaBelle scored the only shootout goal in 8 rounds. So, how close? When you were on a team, obviously, you know what I'm about to ask. Like, how hard is it to know that? Oh my God, we could have won that shorthanded that shootout goal, the game, and there was like two of the games that were lost in regulation. They were only by like a goal, and then maybe like an extra goal from an empty net. How do you think about those games sometimes?
It sucks, especially if you're coming towards the end of the year, and it's like last year we were, playing for not necessarily the first overall spot, but positioning once we did get in, to the semis and then the championship. We were still battling against Carolina. They could have, taken home ice from us in the regular season, and we wouldn't have known the repercussions of it. Would have been we would have had to win on their ice in the championship. But it usually comes down to once you get to the end of the year, and you're like, oh man, we're 2 points short of we would have been above that team. And then you think back, oh, remember that game? Like we lost in the 8-round shootout, or remember like so and so didn't lay out to block that shot, and then it cost us, little stuff like that. And for me, I'd always just think about how tired I was after certain games, and if we came up short by a goal or whatnot, and I was just like completely gassed, and maybe I got injured that game, and I was just playing through it. Those were the ones that hurt the most because it was like you've just spent everything you had, and you still came up short. So I think those ones those ones definitely would sting the most. But there's one thing, like, you play so hard that it's like there's not much you can do. You put it all out there, and like I know Scherzer would sometimes get pretty upset, and there'd be other times where it's like, hey, like if you guys do all the right things and you played hard, like I'm not going to be mad at you. Like whatever the score ends up being, if we did everything we could, then that's it. We got beat tonight, and that's that.
One of the things that he did, and I questioned it with a smile on my face. This past weekend, they went up early in the first period. They got a 5-on-3 power play, and then he calls a timeout. And I'm thinking to myself, right, you're already winning by 2 goals, I think it was, at that point. You go on to a 5-on-3, and he calls a timeout. It's like the compete level in him is, okay, we're already up in the game. We're going on a 5-on-3. It's early in the first period, and I'm thinking to myself, why is he doing that? He might need this. This is Columbus. He might need this in the third period. He might need the timeout in the third period, and he calls it. And they didn't score on the 5-on-3, but it's that's his mentality. That's his thought process. I'm going to pull the guys in and go, we're going to put the dagger in their throats now. That's his mentality. Is that how it was the whole time he was there while you were playing?
Oh yeah, that was one of the big things I loved about him is like if we're going to give you our best and we're going to play to win every single night. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. If we're down some of our better guys, they're injured, whatever it is, we're coming at you with everything we got. And if we lose, we're going to lose on our terms. We gave you our best shot and we lost. So that doesn't surprise me at all out of them.
They have 20 games left. From what you've seen so far this year, what you know of this team, how many games can they win out of these 20 that are left?
I know the goal was 40 last year when I showed up, and we came up one short. I know the goal again is 40 this year.
And they're at 31 right now.
Yeah, I think 40 is not that it's in the bag. You still got to play the games, but I think they're going to easily surpass that, and I think getting to 45 is likely.
Wow.
Just the way they've been playing has been unreal. We talked earlier about how this Columbus weekend was a pretty big statement to the league, and they have some games like we were talking coming up against Athens, Carolina. Those will be important. Another good test to see where they're at.
Do you believe in bulletin board material? Is that something that really does happen where, maybe a coach or another player says, hey, I heard a fan said this, or a player from another team said this? Is bulletin board material real in pro hockey?
I think it depends on the person, but with those guys, most of the guys I know there at Binghamton, it's definitely real. I don't know. For me, just my personality, that it wasn't so much my thing. But yeah, I think it's definitely something for a lot of those guys in that locker room.
I think I would imagine, I'm just going to guess here, that if the team makes it back to the finals and there's a game in Binghamton, depending on the schedule, because who knows how the schedule is going to be, it is the Fed still, and when it comes to scheduling. If Andreas had a ticket waiting at the box office for you to come in to enjoy a championship game, would you come back?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I actually just booked a flight today to come see my girlfriend in April for her birthday. I think that'll be when the team's going to Athens, so I won't see them that week. But yeah, I was texting Tom before I got on with you, Austin Thompson, and we were saying I was saying maybe I can come back when you guys are in the championship again, and so yeah, hopefully that comes to fruition. I wish they never got any videos of my lineup reads. I had some unreal lineup reads. You'll have to ask Scherzer and the guys about those, but okay. Maybe I can come in for the cup clincher at home and do a lineup read before the game. That'd be sick.
Now, how real are those? Like as a player, how cool is it when someone comes in and does the lineup read, or when you get to do one yourself as a player?
It's a big honor. I treat it it's serious. it's you're the first. You're kind of like setting the tone for the game. Obviously, you've already had warm-ups, but now everyone's kind of heart rates have settled down. We're sitting waiting for the ice to be cut, and you're getting ready to rile up the boys again. I always love to come up with like little quick sentence or something about the guy, just to chirp them a little bit or something, a little something about them, and instead of just reading names and numbers. So
Well, do us a favor. The top line this whole year has been Austin Thompson on the left side, Tyson Kirkby in the middle, and then Don Oliveri on the right side. Give us a lineup. Give us the starting order with those three guys.
I'd probably start in the middle with Kirks. Kirks, I had a lot of material for. I could go with something with. He's a big Braves fan. You could do something there. Mm-hmm. His hair, he's got arguably some of the best hair in the league. Kirk's had good material. Tomer coming on the left side. I play Pokemon Go with him. That was
yes. I know that's a big thing for him. That's a big thing for him.
Yep. So that was a big one. Just that we're ACHA brothers. That was a good one. He was probably Tomer was probably one of my closest teammates from all 3 years that I played with. So I had a lot of stuff for him. But some of this I probably can't say on air too. So we'll keep it at that. And
fair enough. What about the Don father?
For Don, Don loved me. I loved him too. He was. I was so happy that Jersey brought him in, but we played MLB The Show a lot together, so we didn't play a lot together. We would talk about it a lot, I guess I'd say. You could go that way with him.
Nice.
I'd usually just say that he's the Don of Binghamton. That was a good one.
Yep.
There was always I'd always come up with something. I'd literally be thinking of this stuff like pregame, and Jersey would hand me the lineup, and I'd have to what were my notes I had lined up for these guys, and just hurry up and rattle it off. But yeah, it was always fun. It sucked when we'd lose because then I wouldn't get it the next game. You got to switch it up because we didn't lose often, so it was that didn't happen. Didn't get switched often.
I know the legend. You remember who the legend is, right, Derek?
Oh yeah.
He got to go in and do one of those once.
Yeah. That was electric. He just kept going. We had to shuttle him out of the locker room. All right, we got to play the game now, D.
the referees are coming out and asking where the Black Bears are, and Derek's still in there going nuts on it and everything, which is a lot of fun. Fitzy, so you're going to be coming sometime in April, obviously to see your girlfriend. How do you guys manage that? How do you guys make that work? She's in Vestal and you're outside of Chicago. How do you make that work?
Yeah, it's been tough. I met her probably, I'd say this time, February of my first year of us playing in Binghamton, so the 2020-2021 season. And it's 10 hours apart. We pretty much just try to space it out and fly back and forth. So, she came here in January. Mm-hmm. I'll be going to her for her birthday in April. I think then she's going to come to me in September for my birthday. But, yeah, it's just been a lot of FaceTiming, I guess I'd say, is the key. And, but, yeah, it's not ideal. I think that's, when everyone asks me this question, I don't really have a exact answer for them because it sucks at the end of the day. It's just there's nothing really good about it, but I guess the only good thing is that we're still making it work. So
Fitzy,
it's not ideal, but we're making it work.
Well, we listen. I've now got the game plan for you. Coach Sherwood coaches a third season. He moves up after the third season, or maybe the fourth season, right? Because technically this is his third season, second full season, right?
Yeah.
Next year he coaches for a third season. He retires. You come in as the new head coach of the Binghamton Black Bears, and then I've just now solved your love your love problems right there.
Some big shoes to fill if I'm coming in behind Jersey. So maybe I start as an assistant so I can learn the ropes from them.
Well, so next year, come in and be the assistant coach. Get Andreas to pay you a decent salary to come in to be the full-time assistant for Jersey next year. It'd be a riot to watch the two of you on the bench. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But you could run the
polar opposites. He'd be screaming at the guy at the ref, and I'd be like, "This
holding him
talk
back.
To him sensibly, yeah.
Holding him back. But you would run the defense. He could run the offense, and it would work out really well.
Yeah.
See, I've already got this all planned out for you.
yeah. Were you talking to my girlfriend before the podcast? That's what's going on here.
No, I don't think I've met her. I don't know if she goes to any of the games at all without you being there.
Yeah, she doesn't go any. Yeah, not anymore. She was there the banner raising night, but it was so hectic. There was so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you met her then. It was crazy.
No.
But.
I don't think I have. But that's not to say that I haven't, because there are definitely girlfriends and people, parents coming up to me and talking to me, and the one that I have the most common with, actually there's two, Stephen McAnanima, that's Connor's dad, and then Papa Weebs. He's great. He's a riot. I mean, he was here this past weekend for the Columbus series, and some of the things that he and I did when we were kids that we didn't know we liked the same music and everything. He is a trip for sure. Fitzy, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, Bob. This was a blast. It helps me kind of relive the glory days, if you will. But I appreciate you doing the podcast. I love getting to tune in each week and listen to how my teammates are doing and how things are going. So I appreciate you, Bob.
I appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. And you're in good company. Like Connor Smith, he retired, and even though he really got the itch to want to come back, and he almost did. Andrew Logar, he stopped playing at this level because I think he's got a house up in Buffalo, and he's got a good job, and I think he's playing some Senior A hockey. So without a doubt, you're in good company. Not everybody plays forever, and that's okay. So just remember that it's okay to be where you are right now.
Definitely. I appreciate that.
Awesome. He is Colan Fitzgerald. Fitzy to all of us. Thank you so much again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Colan Fitzgerald. Everybody loves Fitzy, so very glad to have him back on the podcast, as he's just one of the favorites, obviously, here in the Binghamton area. Played the first 3 seasons with the Black Bears, played a little bit of time up in the SPHL. He does have, you should check him out on all the socials, the Hockey House Pod, which is the podcast that he and a couple other guys did about the ACHA. So definitely make sure that you check out the Hockey House Pod. They get to some audio once in a while, not as much as they used to, but they do a lot of updates on all their social media, so check them out, obviously, on Instagram and Facebook as well. So, again, this weekend, what's great is only one game. That's good for the players. Give them a couple extra days off this week, which they totally deserved. Get back to work, play the one game, have Friday night off, which is always good. But they got to play on they're going to play on Saturday against the Venom at home, which is great. And then on Sunday, everybody can tune in to listen to Dan Stone here on the Power Play Post Show. I'm very excited. I'm recording this here on Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm going to be talking with Stone about his time with the Black Bears and everything else. He's also another one of those Calgary boys, right? Living up there in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, along with Josh Fletcher. So pretty cool stuff there. So we'll get to talk to Dan Stone here next on the Sundays Power Play Post Show weekend wrap-up show, so look for that as well. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, and Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Thank you, everybody, who has been subscribing to the show. I do check out the numbers, and we are slowly but surely keep increasing those subscription numbers on all the different platforms, which is pretty awesome. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search Power Play Post Show. Check out BinghamtonHockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Don't forget this Sunday, our first interview and chat with Black Bears D-Man Dan Stone. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Patitucci, our musical director, and, of course, former Binghamton Black Bears defenseman Colan Fitzgerald. Fitzy coming on the show. Thank you very much, guys. I am Bob Howard, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.